From weird episodes to hidden secrets on set, there's a lot going on behind the scenes. These are the strangest, funniest, and most surprising moments of Lost in Space that make it way more interesting than it seems. The absurd and legendary Vegetable Rebellion. By season 3, Lost in Space had fully embraced the weird side of sci-fi. And nothing shows that better than the Great Vegetable Rebellion. In this episode, a giant human-sized carrot named Tybo becomes part of a bizarre uprising. Behind the scenes, the episode was even crazier. Writers tried to hide the script, and there was originally going to be a real llama. The llama didn't behave, so it got cut, but the absurdity stayed. Fans often call this one of the strangest hours in sci-fi TV history, and some even blame it for the show's eventual cancellation. Despite all the chaos, the episode left a lasting impression. It also reminds us how much creativity and unpredictability went into making the show. And speaking of surprises, some of the characters we now love almost never existed at all. Characters who nearly never existed.
You stay away from me, you garrulous gargoyle. You bubble-headed booby!
Some of Lost in Space's most famous characters almost didn't make it into the show. Dr. Smith, who became the breakout star, wasn't even in the original pilot. He was added just to create conflict, but Jonathan Harris turned him into a comedic genius, making Dr. Smith one of the most memorable TV villains ever. Even the robot wasn't part of the initial concept. Adding these two changed the whole dynamic, making the show lighter, funnier, and more exciting for viewers. And speaking of the unexpected, the way Jonathan Harris appeared in the credits was as unusual as his character. The special guest star power play.
Yes, Dr. Smith. My suitcase. Oh, your suitcase.
Jonathan Harris negotiated a rare deal. He was credited as special guest star in every episode, even though he was in all of them. This made him stand out, just like Dr. Smith's egotistical character. No other main cast member got this kind of recognition, which was almost unheard of in 1960s TV. It added a unique charm and gave his performance even more weight. Next, behind all the quirky episodes and unique credits, there were also some surprising real-life romances on set. Secret on-set romances and relationships.
You can ask, I don't know what answer.
It was a love thing a long time ago.
A very long time ago, but we're friends.
Yeah, we are friends.
Behind the scenes, some cast members shared more than just screen time. Will Robinson, Billy Mumy, and Penny Robinson, Angela Cartwright, who played siblings on the show, actually had a brief real-life romance. They even got engaged after the series ended, though it didn't last long. Despite that, their friendship stayed strong over the years. It's a hidden emotional layer that fans wouldn't notice while watching, showing that the people on set had stories as interesting as the ones on screen. Speaking of stories that could have changed history, the show's very existence had a surprising twist compared to another sci-fi classic. Lost in Space vs. Star Trek: The Road Not Taken.
The neutral zone between planets Romulus and Remus and the rest of the galaxy.
CBS chose to greenlight Lost in Space instead of Star Trek, even though both shows pitched around the same time. Initially, Lost in Space was more successful, but over time it faded, while Star Trek became a cultural phenomenon. It makes you wonder, what if the roles were reversed? Could Lost in Space had become the huge franchise Star Trek is today? It's a fun what-if moment in TV history that shows how timing and choices can completely change pop culture. While the show's story could have gone in many directions, some of its most iconic elements were the incredible technology and costumes. The insane robot suit, $70,000 and 200 pounds.
It is time we talk. Proceed.
The Robot B9 suit was a massive production feat. Designed by the same creator as Forbidden Planet's Robbie the Robot, it cost an astonishing $70,000 in the 1960s. It also weighed nearly 200 pounds, making it extremely difficult to wear. Bob May landed the role simply because he fit inside the heavy suit. Meanwhile, voice actor Dick Tufeld recorded the robot's lines separately, giving the character a unique, unforgettable voice. Together, the suit and the voice created one of the most memorable sci-fi characters ever. Next, the attention to detail didn't stop with costumes. The show even used real computers as part of the set. When set props were real computers. To make Jupiter 2 feel high-tech, the show didn't just use fake buttons or cardboard panels. They actually put real Burroughs B205 computers on the set. This made everything look more authentic and added a sense of realism, even if the audience didn't understand how the machines worked. This was a clever way to make the futuristic spaceship feel believable, showing the crew's dedication to detail. And speaking of details, the story of Lost in Space has an interesting ancestry that goes back much further than the 1960s. The show's hidden ancestry. Lost in Space was inspired by the 1962 comic Space Family Robinson, which itself was based on the 1812 novel The Swiss Family Robinson. This means the show is an adaptation of an adaptation. Each version reimagined the story for its time, adding new twists and characters. Understanding this history shows how the themes of family, survival, and adventure were carefully shaped over decades before reaching the TV screens. While the story evolved, the show also borrowed some of its practical effects from other famous sci-fi series. Sharing alien makeup with Star Trek. To save time and money, the Lost in Space production team reused pointed ear prosthetics and alien makeup originally made for Star Trek. Even though the two shows were considered rivals at the time, the teams quietly shared tools, costumes, and makeup techniques behind the scenes. This meant that some of the aliens in Lost in Space looked familiar to fans of Star Trek, even if the connection wasn't obvious on screen. It's a reminder that TV production in the 1960s often relied on clever cost-saving methods, and reusing practical effects was a smart way to make episodes look impressive without spending extra money. Small details like these also give modern viewers fun Easter eggs to spot. And speaking of small details, the show even included tiny inconsistencies, like the Jupiter 2's launch date, which sharp-eyed fans quickly noticed. Easter egg, the Jupiter 2 launch date puzzle. Attention to detail in Lost in Space sometimes led to fun little mistakes. One example is the Jupiter 2 launch date. In the pilot episode, it's shown as October 16, 1997, but the next episode says October 21, 1997, less than a day later in the story. No one ever explained the mix-up, but fans noticed and turned it into a tiny inside joke. Moments like these make rewatching the show more entertaining, as sharp-eyed viewers can spot hidden quirks and small inconsistencies that give the series extra charm. Even tiny details like this show the care, sometimes the chaos, that went into producing the show. The mysterious voice of the robot.
First, you? I owe no loyalty to these Earth people. They are not of my own kind.
While the Robot B9 suit was massive and heavy, its personality came mostly from its voice. Dick Tuffield, who recorded the lines separately in a studio, gave the robot a friendly yet commanding tone that made it instantly memorable. Interestingly, Tuffield also added slight pauses and emphasis to mimic human speech patterns, which helped the robot feel more lifelike. Fans often assumed the actor inside the suit controlled the voice, but it was all carefully recorded and synced later.
We are alike. We must work together. Join the others, Mr. Robinson.
The combination of suit and voice created a character that became one of the show's most beloved icons, proving how clever production techniques can turn something mechanical into a personality that audiences still remember today. The show's colorful costumes. Lost in Space was one of the first sci-fi shows to fully embrace colorful, eye-catching costumes. The crew uniforms were bright and futuristic, which not only helped viewers distinguish characters but also gave the series a unique visual identity. Costume designers experimented with metallic fabrics, bold stripes, and unusual textures to make the Jupiter 2 crew look like they really belonged in space. These choices were important because color TV was still relatively new, and striking visuals made the show stand out. Even the aliens had creative handmade costumes that pushed the limits of 1960s design, proving that Lost in Space cared as much about how the series looked as the stories it told. Lost in Space isn't just a campy old sci-fi show, it's packed with surprises, secrets, and behind-the-scenes stories. Rewatching the series with these details in mind reveals hidden gems and makes you appreciate the creativity, humor, and care that went into making this classic show.